Now if I were to ask you, hey, do you want a 300cc scooter? You would probably ask me, hey, what would I do with one? And that's exactly the same thought I had in my mind when I was first asked to review this, the Keeway Sixties 300i, and this, the Keeway Vieste 300. So I spent some time with both these scooters to find out that can you actually live with them and can they become a part of your daily commute. Hi, my name is Dhruv Paliwal, you're watching autoX, and today we are talking about these two 300cc scooters from Keeway. Now when it comes to design, I think I'll start with the 60s 300i, and that's because I like this one more. This has a very traditional design apart from these two funky elements that you get on the front. The rest of it, the paint scheme, especially the white, really looks classy, really looks sober, and this red seat really contrasts well. When it comes to the speedometer, it's an analog unit, reminds you of the good old days. There's a small digital screen underneath it that gives you a little bit of information, all you need to know. But as you move towards the back is when you get to my favorite part of the scooter, and that's this tail section, which kind of tapers back towards the edge, and you also have these vents here because the engine, it does get hot. It is a liquid cooled engine, so you have the fan running and you kind of have heat coming out of these vents. So that's a really nice touch, looks really nice, looks sporty, and honestly 7 days out of the week I would sit on this than this one. But that's not to say that the Vieste 300 is lacking. It's actually not. If that is from the 60s, then this one is from 2022, because this motorcycle-like design, this maxi scooter design seems to be taking over India. Now a couple of new bike makers have actually come out. You have the Yamaha Aerox and even the BMW C400 GT. This kind of comes somewhere in the middle, but we're not going to talk about them. We're going to be talking about this one. You have all this exposed mechanical stuff here, this central tunnel which makes you put your legs on either side when you're riding it, and this motorcycle like handlebar over here, and then this angular sleek front with these LED lights over here in the front, and even the wheels on the Vieste 300, they are bigger. So they give it that stance, they give it that aggression that most of the people who are looking to buy motorcycles today want. And when you get that in a scooter, that's just a win-win situation. Now we've talked about how good these scooters look. Now let's talk about how good they actually are. And we'll start with this, the Keeway Sixties 300i. Now first of all, it's more of a traditional scooter in the manner you sit. You have a lot of space here on the floorboard. You create 90-degree angles with your arms and with your legs. So that means that you're mostly in a very comfortable riding position all the time. In terms of features here, you have the regular stuff, that's your lamp switches and your on-off kill switches, all your 4 indicators running at once, your hazards. Now the only additional feature you get over here is this USB port, which has been tucked away nicely inside this compartment here. You have a lot of space, you can keep your phone, you can keep your wallet, so those things stay tucked away nicely. Then you have this hook over here to hang a bag. But the coolest part of the 60s 300i is how you fill fuel. Fill fuel down there. Now this looks really cool, and I tried filling fuel in this. The problem is it's not a very convenient angle, and you end up spilling fuel sometimes on areas nearby. Any of the areas over there are hot, that could prove to be a problem. So while I don't mind putting in the effort to go down there and fill the fuel, I think if it had been made just a little bit more practical, it would have really worked nicely. Apart from that, you also have quite a lot of under-seat storage over here. You can fit in a helmet underneath over here, and apart from that, you can pack in a lot of groceries, so that's always a good thing. Apart from that, in terms of ergonomics, the seat, it's very comfortable. You can tour on it, you can sit on it for short distances. The cushioning is just perfect. These grab rails here, well, they're a little traditional. You have these chunky metal bits on the side to hold on to, and this extra nice metal bracket that comes onto the outside. Now let's move on to the Vieste 300 and things get a lot more appealing over here. First of all, yeah, this is not a traditional scooter, so you have to swing your leg over it. Now in terms of this instrument cluster I have here in front of me, it's quite expansive. On the left I have an analog speedometer. On the right I have an RPM meter, a tachometer, unheard of in scooters. And in the center there's another digital screen which tells me my speed, my temperature of my engine, my fuel level, my trip meter, and all of those things. Very well made, very well put together. It's easy to read. It's all the information that you need is on there in one glance. Then I think you have another USB socket over here on this, but you only get a small pocket which is not closed. It does not have a lid on top, so you really cannot close this. So if you keep your phone there while it's charging, you go into a pothole, chances are it might pop out. Apart from that, I like these grips really. These are really solid grips, quite long compared to the ones on the 60s 300i. And if I could just show you this, this is the key to the scooter. As you can see, there is no key. It's just a fob. You have this knob over here. It does many things. And again, like the 60s 300i, your fuel is here. It's actually a little more practical, but it's a little further up, and there's not a lot of hot areas around here, so that fuel, even if it spills over, will not be a problem. Apart from that, the switchgear quality is pretty much the same as the one on the 60s 300i. Now I wanted to show you the boot underneath, but apparently the switch on this particular unit doesn't seem to be working, so we cannot show you that space. Now let's talk about the riding experience, and it's pretty much the same in some aspects and quite different in other aspects. Let's start with the same stuff. It's the engine. Now both these scooters have a 278cc liquid cooled 4-valve engine, and honestly it makes decent amount of power, 18 brake horsepower, 22 Nm, and on these scooters it feels quite a lot. 100 kmph comes up pretty briskly, and even beyond that the scooter likes to push, and you can push it hard, it will keep going. So in terms of speed, you have it covered. In terms of grunt, in terms of torque, there is a lot of it available all throughout the rev range. No matter where you are, at what speed you are, just twist the throttle and these two scooters go. Apart from that, let's come to the ride quality of these two scooters. While they differ slightly, both of them have been set up stiff, and I'm guessing it's to deal with the weight. That's 146 kilos, this is 147 kilos. So to deal with that weight on these small shocks, I think they've had to make the ride quality a little stiff. The upside of that is that both these scooters are extremely flickable, handle well around the corner, and that's also to do with the tires. Now at the front, the Keeway Sixties 300i, it has a 120/70/12 tire at the front and the same section at the back, like a typical scooter. Both tires are of the same size. It behaves more like a traditional scooter. The Vieste 300 on the other hand, it's got different size tires on the front and the back, and it's also got a larger diameter than that one. So while that scooter is flickable, this one feels even more flickable, and getting in and out of traffic on this one is a hoot. You really enjoy it, and you really enjoy riding it because it gives you that motorcycle feeling first of all, and second of all, it's really quick because of that engine. So all these things come together to offer you a riding experience that's sporty while still maintaining the practicality of a scooter. So I think that's a really nice bit. Now one more thing I would really like to mention here is the brakes. The brakes on both the scooters, you have a disc brake setup at both ends on both the scooters, and they work really well. The ABS unit in particular has been calibrated so beautifully that you can slam on the brakes at any speed and these two scooters will come to a stop without any drama. The ABS doesn't come in too quickly, or it doesn't wait till you've begun slipping quite a lot. It comes in at the right time, and that's really a nice thing. Alright, it's time to sum up this video, and if I had to personally pick one of these scooters, it would be the 60s 300i. I think I'm just in love with the way it looks. Yes, the Vieste 300 is obviously a better handler, it's a better machine to ride on, but for me, because of the looks, I would pick that one. Now the Vieste 300 would also work better for those of you who want a motorcycle but your parents really don't want you to have one, so they're like, you know what, buy a scooter. Maybe you can show them this one, and this has more power than the Aerox, so that's a plus. But obviously that's a discussion for another time. I do have to address one pretty big elephant in the room, and that's the price of these scooters. Both of them stand at rupees 2.99 lakh ex showroom, and that's the sucker punch. That seems like a lot paying for these two scooters. Yes, they are good scooters, they are good machines, but 3 lakh rupees ex showroom, you can have a lot more power, you can have a lot more fun for that much amount of money. And I think it's still a little bit justified on the Vieste 300. On the 60s 300i, it just looks like you're paying for the looks. Now these were my 2 cents on these two scooters. Let us know down in the comments below what you think about them, and do you think that price tag is a little too much, or you have to pay that bit extra to get the good things in life. Thank you so much for watching, and until the next one, goodbye.